Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. I'm your host, Doug Falconer, Agriculture Director at GX94 in Yorkton. And we're joined by 620 CKRM AgriNews Director Ryan Young out of Regina and SaskAgToday.com Chief Agricultural Editor Kevin Hursh. Good day, gentlemen.
Hi, Doug.
Hi.
The big news, I guess, out of the week was, first of all, was the snow, but then, of course, was the crop insurance announcement that wasn't really new. But Kevin, you've had a chance to review all the information, and you're suggesting that producers should take a closer look at some of the contents of it.
Yeah, we broke the story on what exactly crop insurance prices were going to be ahead of the announcement because that information was coming out to producers. And certainly there was some new stuff in the announcement made by Minister Merritt at the crop insurance office, primarily things like more weather-based programs for different kinds of forage would probably be some of the major stuff. As expected, coverage rates are down. The premium is also down because the coverage rates are down. But something I would suggest for producers is that they look at some of the pricing options, particularly the contract price option, and it's long been available on most crops. And if you have crop contracted for new crop at a price higher than the crop insurance insured prices, you can give that information to crop insurance and they'll factor it into your coverage levels. For instance, I have some maple peas contracted at a price well above the crop insurance price. I've got some large green lentils contracted at a price well above the contract price. I'll use the contract price option. My contract is only on the first 10 bushels per acre of those crops, but it will still increase my coverage levels. And this is an option I think that has been underutilized. If you're really believing that crop insurance is wrong and grain prices are going to be way stronger on any particular commodity, you can also go with the in-season price option, and your coverage level for prices will be determined after the growing season, after the crop is in the bin, but prices can move up or down. So you do take risk with those. I really like the contract price option because it gives me some certainty.
All right, and one of the other things that came out this week was the news that strychnine is being banned. I think it's as of September 7th, completely banned in Canada by Health Canada. What's your reaction to that news, Kevin?
Well, I was actually surprised because I thought strychnine had stopped being sold. You could get it through the rural municipalities up to a few years ago for poisoning gophers. I thought it was banned for that use entirely already. So I don't think there will no doubt be some producers with strychnine out there, and they actually should not now be using it. But we've seen this coming for a while.
And as for the markets, we saw the markets close up for the most part this week, especially canola and wheat. And Ryan, you had a chance to speak with Adam Picalo on that.
That's right. And he said right off the top when I was talking to him about canola, as we always start the interview with, he said, it gained a few dollars on the week. I think it was somewhere in the double digits, like maybe $20 or $30 a ton, something like that. But regardless, it was ended on a positive note, which not too often over the last few weeks. He usually said it's down, so it's kind of a refreshing change, if you will, on how the May canola contract did. Also, the same thing with the May Minneapolis wheat contract. It was also up on the week, so that kind of bucks the trend of both commodities being volatile and down over the last few weeks and maybe say months as well. One of the things he was also looking out for in terms of an outlook was the USDA report that was to be released at around 11 a.m. Central Time today. So he's going to be looking at that, and I'll follow up with him on Monday just to see what it all entails and what that means for both canola and wheat futures and how they'll be affected by the report, as well as the usual outlook and keeping tabs on the US and Canadian dollars, how they kind of move up and down, as well as the crude oil contracts.
Kevin, your reaction to the prices?
It's good to see some strength or some upward movement, particularly in the canola market. I guess the question is now whether this marks the bottom and we're going to see it crawl back upwards, or whether this is a momentary reprieve. or it's going to just sit stable. There's a lot of unpriced canola and a lot of people looking at it when you do the calculation to what you're being paid at an inland terminal, maybe 13.20 a bushel, something like that. In many cases, not very satisfactory, but good to see that the decline stopped. And in addition to the USDA reports coming out, StatsCan on Monday is going to come out with a seeding intentions report. But I think that's the Canadian acreage intentions, but I think it will be largely discounted because it's based, as I understand it, on a survey of producers back in December, and things have changed since December. We're a couple of months more than that further along, and intentions may have changed, but it will still attract some interest and some analysis when that report comes out on Monday.
All right, and we also heard over the week that Canada's, or specifically Saskatchewan's, exports of lentils and peas to India saw significant growth by the end of 2023, up 71% over 2022. I guess not a surprise considering the tariffs have been lowered by India.
Yeah, particularly on peas, I would say that's a big deal. And it's a good thing that India is buying, because if you look at almost all of the grains, China's purchases from Canada are way down, especially for feed barley, but also for canola. So it's a good thing India is in the market buying some, and that's one of the reasons pulse prices relative to the other crops in many cases look superior.
And of course, Friday, March 8th is International Women's Day. And Ryan, you took the initiative to talk to a couple of women about their involvement in agriculture and what the profession means to them.
That's right. Yeah, I had a chance to talk with Sarah Shimko. She's the executive director of Ag in the Classroom Saskatchewan, and also at one time she was the executive director of Ag in the Classroom Canada on an interim basis until they found a person to lead the federal group, as well as Sarah Legui. She is a farmer in the Fillmore, Saskatchewan area, and just kind of talking about what they do and what they enjoy out of being in agriculture. Starting with Sarah Shimko, she grew up on a mixed farm around Jasmine, Saskatchewan. She's always loved farming, especially the business side and the economic side of things. And it's no surprise that she took those studies at the University of Saskatchewan, and also kind of did some traveling abroad and working abroad over in Uganda, Africa. And that's really kind of where, her passion for education started as well, kind of blending her passion for agriculture and education together, which eventually led her being in the current role that she's in today. Also with Sarah Legui, she, again, kind of like Shimko, always enjoyed farming, just kind of loving the fact that each day is a new day and a new challenge, so to speak. And overall, it was a really good conversation. I enjoyed it, and they both had, positive pieces of advice for any woman who is considering a career in agriculture. Don't sell yourself short. Don't underestimate your worth. If that is your passion, for example, go for it. What's the worst that can happen, right? And one final comment on that as well, doing some research for the couple features I ran on Sask Ag today on 620 CKRM. I came across a statistic from Stats Canada about the number of women who consider themselves farm operators. And as of 2021, there was just over 79,000 women that consider themselves farm operators, which is an increase from the 2016 number of around 77,000, which is about an increase of 1,800 women. So it's good to see more women are involved in ag, and certainly look forward to, more women getting involved as well. And just really enjoyed the whole process for today being International Women's Day.
Interesting to note on Sarah Legui, her and her brother Jake were Saskatchewan's outstanding young farmers for this year. So very accomplished. They run a great operation.
And Kevin, you being an agro from way back, I would imagine there probably weren't a whole lot of women in the College of Agriculture when you went, but I think that's really changed a lot now.
It certainly has. I graduated shouldn't say way back in 1980, and we had more women in our graduating class than previous ones, but probably only 10 of the 80 maybe. And in recent years, there's been more women than men in the College of Agriculture. That probably dates back 5 or 6 years since women actually overtook men within College of Agriculture. So very interesting trend overall. And as you go to lots of farm meetings, especially if it's agronomy related, oftentimes the people presenting, whether it's researchers or agronomists, are women that have come out of College of Agriculture.
All right. And now looking ahead to next week, a number of big events. I know you touched on the StatScan seating intentions report, Kevin, but the SARM convention will be opening up in Regina on Wednesday. And Ryan, I know you've received an agenda on that. You'll probably get a chance to speak to a few people on that.
That's right. I'll have a chance over this weekend to do some prep work and looking over some of the agenda for the SARM convention. I know one of the speakers there will be Agriculture Minister David Merritt. He'll make an appearance, as well as Ray Orb, the president of SARM. He'll address delegates, and I'll have a chance to preview the event with Ray, just to kind of provide a general overview of what to expect and maybe some things that are going to be key and top of the agenda for the organization. They do a lot of good work for rural municipalities and rural communities. So looking forward to next week.
And Kevin, I know you won't be able to make it to SARM this week, but I mean, it's an important 3 days for rural Saskatchewan.
There's with 2,000 people attending, it pulls councillors and reeves from RMs across the province. It's a real meeting place. It's a grand stage for both government and opposition politicians, and there's always news comes out of the SARM convention. One other thing to watch for next week, and maybe this report will even be discussed in some part of the SARM meeting, is that Farm Credit Canada will release its farmland values report as of Tuesday of next week, and I suspect that we'll see farmland values increase once again. I'm predicting that for 2024, we may see that those kinds of increases slow down, and maybe it might even be the tipping point for farmland values for a while, given where commodity prices are at. But shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. First thing to watch is that Tuesday report on 2023 values from Farm Credit Canada.
All right. Well, thanks very much for this, gentlemen. It's been another good week. And on behalf of Chief Agricultural Editor of SaskAgToday.com, Kevin Hursh, and 620 CKRM Regina AgriNews Director Ryan Young, I'm GX94 Yorkton Agriculture Director Doug Falconer, saying so long until next week.